Hello my friends, William Poloniak again from Whole Health Foundation. In today's juice formula, I'm making an antioxidant juice with 50% pumpkin, about half carrots, and the only greens I'm using are French sorrel and celery, plus ginger and turmeric. Let's take a look at the ingredients. Here you can see some French sorrel plants, and you can see how this one plant sent an offshoot here and here, so we have 3 or maybe 4 plants growing here, and I have French sorrel growing everywhere in the garden. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to harvest a couple of these plants for my juice. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to harvest all of the leaves off a couple of these plants. And you can see how this one plant sent an offshoot here and another offshoot here. So what I'll do later is I'll dig these up and transplant them so they have a little more room to grow. And we'll just cut this off and we'll harvest this and put this into our juice. As you can see, in addition to my pumpkin and about the same amount of carrots, I have celery, fresh picked from my garden, French sorrel, also fresh picked from my garden, turmeric, about 180 grams, about 180 grams of ginger, and those are my ingredients. And the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my pumpkin. To prepare my pumpkin, I'm going to cut out the top and the bottom and then slice it into manageable slices. We'll take out the top, discard that, and cut out the bottom. And then I'm going to cut this into manageable slices so that it will fit into the feed tube of the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. The first thing I'm going to do is change my feed tube from the original stock feed tube to the front loading feed tube. And a day or so ago I took this feed tube to my machine shop to have some final touches done, and I noticed how much I missed it, because you can see right into the feed tube, you can see what you're doing. It's also ergonomically much more comfortable to use, and I really missed it. So today the first thing I'm going to do is plug in my thermometer and feed in some ice cubes. And I'm going to start with my celery. Just like a hot knife through butter, the near zero blowback cutter is doing an excellent job. Now I want to point out that because the near zero blowback cutter is doing such an excellent job, you'll be tempted to put in more produce, but don't do that. Less produce is more effective. Next I'll feed in some turmeric. Ginger. Now because ginger and turmeric are very fibrous, I'm going to clean the grid, scrape off the pulp from both sides, and replace the grid and continue. We're up to 23, so 3 more ice cubes. I'm going to juice my French sorrel. And remember, less produce is more effective. Don't overload your beef juice. here's the last of my greens. We'll follow that by a couple of ice cubes. And remember, because greens are very, very fibrous, you want to clean your grid frequently. Scrape the pulp off both sides. And replace the grid, and next I'm going to do all of my pumpkin. I want to point out again how much more comfortable this front-loading feed tube is, and I really missed it when it was in the machine shop for a couple of days. So we'll continue with the last of my pumpkin, and then we'll switch to the carrots. Now I want to remind you, there's always a plug of produce in here, so what I'm going to do is take some pulp, put it in the feed tube, and I'm going to force that last plug through. And next, we will clean the grid and the grid holder. The next step is to mix my greens with my carrots and my pumpkin. And we're going to rotate the bowl in both directions to get a really thorough mix. Now I'm rotating my collection bowl in both directions. I want to get a really thorough mix of my pumpkin, my carrots, and my greens. Now we'll put 3 generous ladles of pulp in each cloth, and I'm going to press 2 cloths at one time. I've found that pressing 2 cloths is ideal. Better than 1, better than 3, better than 4. 2 cloths seems to be the most efficient way to press pulp. So I'm going to set that aside and prepare my second cloth, put it in the press, and then continue. And later I'm going to show you how the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer makes 10% more juice. So 2 cloths full into the press, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjusted if necessary, all the way back, back it off a little bit so it doesn't go up too fast. And continue filling cloths. Now here's my 6 cloth less work method. Pull this forward, pull this over, put the spent cloths on top, and continue. Again, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjusted if necessary, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now my less work 6 cloth method, you don't throw away your spent pulp. What you do is put 2 scoops, not 3, on top of the spent pulp, fold it again, set it aside, and we're going to press it again. Now later on, instead of 2 scoops, we'll put only 1 scoop because this existing patty is getting thicker and thicker, but for now we'll put 2 scoops. That's it all the way when you're on your last cloth. Flatten it. And again, my less work 6 cloth method. This goes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top. Again, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjusted if necessary, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now, if there was a puddle of juice in my collection bowl, I would put this pulp in the bowl, but I don't see much yet, so we'll put 2 more scoops on here. on this next cloth, I'm going to demonstrate if there was a puddle of juice in your collection bowl, you would crush this up, put it in the puddle of juice to absorb it, and we continue. Flatten it. Again, this goes forward, this goes over, this fat clouds go on top, and I notice my bowl is full. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this back so it doesn't drip on my countertop, but not just a little bit, I'm going to set it back a lot. And I'll remind you, if you set it back a little bit, believe me, you will forget and you'll damage your tray. So set it back so it's very, very obvious. And let's fill some bottles. Now you'll notice I'm leaving about 10% for filtered water. I use distilled water because I have a water distiller, but filtered water is okay. And let's make some more juice. Now we'll pull the tray forward, put in 2 more filled cloths of pulp, centered left to right, centered front to back, all the way back, back it off a little bit, turn on the machine. And as before, we're not throwing away this pulp. We'll put 1 heaping spoon of pulp on top and form it into a tight package. When you're on your last cloth, advance that all the way. I've got the last of my pulp in here, and I'm going to use a spatula to get every last drop out, most of which I grew myself. Set this aside and clean this later. Again, centered. Left to right, front to back, adjust it if necessary, all the way back, back it off. And while that's pressing juice, I'm going to take this spent pulp and form it into a very, very tight package and press it again because I want to demonstrate how much more juice we can get with the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. Now I've repackaged the spent pulp into 3 double packets of reprocessed pulp, and I'm going to use a measuring beaker to measure how much extra juice, if any, we can get by using the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. And this bottom base plate that is solid, by the way has a lifetime warranty, will enable you to get over 10% more juice from your produce. So it's very important on the repackaged pulp to have this centered, left to right, front to back, adjust it, all the way back, and when I get juice flow I'm going to back it off. I don't want this to go up too fast. Juicing cloths are generally very, very slippery, and when I determine I have enough traction there between the 2 cloths, I'll advance it a little bit more. And then all the way. Well, so far I've got about 11 ounces, and I advance that all the way. As soon as I get traction between the 2 clouds, you can advance it all the way. Now your most valuable nutrients are in this last 10% of your juice press, especially if you're trying to rejuvenate your body or recover from cancer. Well, there's 13 ounces so far. There we have 17 ounces, and now it's starting to drop instead of a steady flow, so I'm going to back it off, and I really don't want this video to be too long. So what I'm going to do is set this back so it doesn't drip on my countertop, pour this into my collection bowl, and then fill more bottles. Now I'm topping these bottles off with distilled water, and then I'm going to cap them and put them in the fridge. Before I put my bottles in the refrigerator, I'm going to press the water out of my cloths after I wash them with cold water to get rid of any pulp on them. All the way back, I'm going to press the water out and then put them in a plastic bag and put them in the freezer. I find that I can reuse my cloths 3, maybe 4 or 5 times depending on the produce. and then I set them aside to do laundry. And I have some cloths over 40 years old, still good. So press all the water out, put them in a plastic bag, and into the freezer they go. Now as you can see, I have 5, 10, 12 bottles, and remember, more than one of these bottles was pressed from the already pressed pulp, plus a little for a taste test. So let's do a taste test. Now here we have an antioxidant juice with pumpkin and carrots mainly, and a few greens, and today I used French sorrel and celery, plus some ginger and turmeric. Let's taste this. Delicious as usual, and I can definitely taste the pumpkin. Well, I hope you like what you see, and if you do, please tell a friend. If you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. See you in the next video.